Welcome back to Random Witchcraft with your host, Vix.
And Callie, word up, people.
Today, we're going to dive into the fantastical, the fabulous, the world of fairies.
So, are we talking about everyone we know?
No, we're not talking about the drag queens and the effeminate males. We are talking about the magical creatures.
Oh, so we're still talking about you.
Okay, I can be magical. I'm not going to argue with that.
Yeah. But yes, fairies, pixies, sprites. What else?
Well, all of the fairy or fae stories come from like Celtic, Slavic, Germanic, English, and French folklore.
Yeah.
There's some thoughts that they may have originated as pagan deities, but kind of when Christianity decided to take over, that
we know what they did.
Yeah.
But
where the fae are spirits of nature or a trickster, which plays tricks on humans.
Depending. They're not always tricksters. It's depending on how you treat them.
Well, you missed the spirits of nature.
Mm-hmm. But getting back to the factor, you're saying that, well, they kind of just, they're still a high elemental deity.
Yeah.
But not necessarily a deity that gets constant worshippers and devotees.
There are people that...
Yes, I said not a constant influx of a certain fairy that's named and known. Like, you say Hecate and everyone knows what you're talking about. But there's certain fairies, like more mainstream people think of fairy and they think Tinkerbell.
Ariel.
True.
Yeah, with the research that I found, they can be violent, and they tend not to see good or evil.
No, they're very black and white.
They either
when
like
their
it or they don't.
Judgment calls.
And they tend to live in liminal spaces. The in-between. Which kind of reminds me of, like, Charmed.
Yes, in the in-betweens.
Fun fact, you can often find fae dancing around a hawthorn bush.
Yes. Also, another little fun fact, if fairies are in your house and they are of the nature variety, you can find them in your fridge.
Why are we refrigerating fairies?
No, that's where they tend to go, and they make their little, home in your, crisper where the fruits and the veggies are. Or sometimes if a fairy is close to your house where you don't even plant any flowers or any kind of... They'll just grow close to your house.
The fairy rings, the fairy mounds.
Fairy rings, fairy mounds. You also have, if they're in your room and you don't have any kind of floral or sweet smelling things in your room, if you smell that, a fairy's living in your room. They might be living under your bed.
That could be interesting.
And they say that when you clean, do not use a vacuum, use a broom. Because the fairies do not like that. And if you disturb their peace and quiet,
they can be quite violent.
Yes. Now, if you do figure out that you have a fairy and you figure out the type of fairy, you can leave offerings for them or shinies or pretties that they will, have and play with and will leave your stuff alone.
Or you can just feed them.
That's why offering.
Sweets, milk, honey, breads. All good choices for house fairies, especially. Another offering. Acts of service. Specifically, cleaning up nature. Like going out and picking up trash on the side of the road. Or on the beach.
True, but if you end up, like me, who ended up, being nice to a water sprite, and they see you getting close to water, yeah, they'll just come and greet you. Sometimes even drag you away.
They just want to reach out and touch someone.
I love Nessie, but Nessie just doesn't need to drown me.
Well, here's a fun little list of different types of fairies. Like you mentioned already, you have the pixies, elves, gnomes, leprechauns, changelings. Changelings are interesting because they are literally where a fairy will literally switch your child with a changeling. And have you raise that child. Then you have the red caps, which I believe their caps are red because they are soaked in blood. You got brownies, the boggart. Got banshees, kelpie, satyrs, spriggans.
Yes.
One that I didn't actually think would be on this list, dragons.
Excuse me? Did we have a blonde moment?
When I think of dragons, I don't necessarily think of fairies. But being as they are nature spirits would make sense.
Yes, because some fire fairies end up becoming more powerful than their... Yes, I've read upon how dragons were born from the fairies.
Then you have the selkies. The ones that, in mythology, gentlemen stealing their pelts and trapping them on land. That's rude.
Don't say that. You're going to upset your house fairy.
No, I'm talking about pretty much keeping a selkie captive.
Yeah, but it's like, you don't talk about Bruno. You don't talk about the bad stuff around them. Because then they get mad. Because then you're reminding them of bad history. You want to keep them happy.
And of course, the nymphs.
Are they naughty? Or they're just,
Is there any other kind other than naughty nymphs?
Well, yes. There's, the sweet, wholesome, shy nymphs that run away from people.
Most of the ones on the list, when you do see them, you just see them out of the corner of your eye. And it is rude to look directly at them. And they get angry if you look at them directly without their permission. Then you have the kobold, which I don't know if I said that correctly. And the puka. Got ogres.
Yeah.
The Eos, see? I don't know if I said that. It's spelled AOS. SI. Then you got gremlins.
Wait, are they Mogwai first or then gremlins? Because you fed them after midnight.
Not to be confused with the very campy 80s film.
Wait, but think of it. Where did they get the idea from? They just had to make it look cute beforehand. Because gremlins sometimes are not all that cute. They're adorable in certain ways. I'm not gonna lie. They're freaking adorable. But that's when they really get into the trickster mode.
Yeah.
What?
Next you have the Lianan Shi.
How's that again?
Lianan Shi.
I love how your accent came out in that one.
I only know how to say the last part because of all of the YouTube videos I watched about the nature spirits and deities of Celtic mythology.
And partially because that's like Gaelic too, so.
It is Gaelic.
Partially I said because if someone, that speaks the language,
Then you have the Doulahan, which I used to know what the Doulahan was, but I can't remember for the life of me.
Let's look up at where you have a certain hand.
Not hand, Doulahan. It's a fairy.
Yes. It's also related to Hindi.
The Doulahan is an Irish Celtic fairy. They have a very specific thing that they do. I just can't remember what it is. The Doulahan. Doulahan Irish, also called Gan Sayan, meaning without a head in Irish. It's a type of mythological creature in Irish folklore. He is depicted as a headless rider on a black horse who carries his own head held high in his hand or under his arm.
So, Headless Horseman.
It's where the Headless Horseman that's where they got in the US, how they came across that one. But he doesn't actually attack people. Also a headless coach, with this presumed driver being the Doulahan. Yeah.
They don't always necessarily, like I said, everything that we now know comes from something in the past, and people get inspired from old folklores. And
I know the people in the Northeast were very afraid of the Headless Horseman, and in some places still are.
Yeah.
Then the last two are the Kitsune and the Dryad.
You mean Kitsune?
No. Kitsune. Kitsune.
Kitsune.
Kitsune.
Kitsune.
Then what is this creature?
It is a nine-tailed fox.
I believe what you're thinking is actually of Asian mythology.
Again, everything shares one point of origin and fits into that origin's area.
Maybe. The Dryad I know. They are a type of nature spirit. Usually around trees. You have the kitsune. Mythical humanoids are mythological creatures that are part human or that resemble humans. An example of this is Kyubi, or kitsune, found in Japanese folklore.
Again? Bite me, ho. It's kitsune, or a yokai in Japanese. And there are 13 types of kitsune. Celestial wind, spirit, darkness, fire, earth, river, ocean, forest, mountain, thunder, sound, and time.
Interesting.
I like how you were trying to test me on that one.
Well, you would be the one that would be knowing Japanese mythology.
Yeah.
Anime freak.
It's not just being an anime freak.
Well, you are.
Yeah.
You are.
I am an otaku. But I'm much more than just anime freak. I learned about kitsune when I was doing my research on dragons.
I can see how those correlate.
Because dragons are hoarders. They see something pretty, they're going to keep it.
Magpies.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of magpies, we need a magpie oracle. If you're not sure what a magpie oracle is, it's kind of like the runes or the bones, but it's random objects that you find. Could be anything. Could be a button, a screw.
I'd have nothing but marbles.
So you can lose your marbles?
No, those are your marbles that I have in a jar. You've lost them a long time ago. But anywho's what's it? But yes, fairies, they tend to just, if you leave them alone, they'll leave you alone. They might end up seeing something they really like of yours and hide it from your vision, cloak it, however you want to see it as. But if you ask them nicely, like, I'll let you play with it when I'm asleep. You can, just bargain with them. Leave them treats, something they like, sweets. And some fairies do like a bit of ale.
That is true. Depending on the region that you live, they do like different things.
Yes.
And yes, there are North American fairies. Or other nature spirits. Which can also be very good for workings of magic, because you can ask for their help.
Even ask for a blessing for a small child, which they love to give blessings to small children.
And also they can be mediaries between you and deities.
Mm-hmm.
You don't necessarily have to go directly to the big, all-powerful, most known deity. You can try to get the help of the local spirits and fairies. just to get that ball rolling.
Yes, it's a good way to actually, kind of dip your toes into communicating with deities, spirits, and just enhancing your intuition. It's a very good way, and there's many ways of doing it. Some can be just meditating, free writing. It just depends on what you feel comfortable and how advanced you are in your journey. Anything else you'd like to add for today's episode?
I think I've run out of things to say.
It's a miracle. Vix can't think of a word to say.
Well, I'm not always the most talkative person.
You could have fooled me.
Well, that is our episode on fairies.
Yes, it is. And have fun exploring whichever form of fairy you want to invite towards you. Do some research. Or if you're not big into fairies and you want to hear about other mythical creatures that we mentioned in our past episode, like a little more in-depth, hit us up on socials.
Yeah. It never hurts to ask questions.
No, it doesn't.
And if we don't know the answer, we can always help find out.
Yes, we will.
Now, till next week.
Au revoir.
Bye for now. Hey everybody, one quick little correction where we mixed the Selkie and the Kelpie. The description we gave in the episode was of a Selkie. A Kelpie is a bloodthirsty, murderous water horse. Not exactly the same. But till next time, this has been Random Witchcraft. Just one more thing before we sign off for the day. If you would like to send us any comments, concerns, or any questions, or if you would like to support this podcast, or for any future endeavors, click the links below. Thank you.